Hey, welcome to Combat Vet Vision. Hey, this is a place where veterans get to tell their stories. We get to come on here and kind of focus on what we're doing in our lives, the pathways that we're on, some really cool things. And I'm Aaron Siebert, retired Navy chief, lucky to be alive after being hit with a mortar round. I came back, got involved with a lot of other nonprofit organizations, and I believe in lifting up our veteran community. I want to make sure that we're doing that uplifting. We're doing a lot of promoting of veterans and what they're doing in their lives to make sure that we're doing some really cool stuff. I had the opportunity to hang out with Warrior Built this week. Last week I had Dustin Slade on deck. Dustin Slade went out there and raced this weekend. He also raced with Warrior Built. He raced on a motorcycle. He also raced the UTV class. A sportsman, took first place in that unofficially right now. But hey, it was a great opportunity to get out there with the veterans, hang out with the team of guys moving forward in some really cool directions. Spend some time getting to talk to some guys that are dealing with some things, and just really help each other out in some really awesome ways. Got to give a set of tires away, Yokohamas to a veteran, and a set of rims too as well. So really great to be able to do that at any given time. So hey, as we get into our guest, Derek Hudnall's on deck. Really great guy, United States Navy corpsman. We served together. We did a lot of things together. Had some time to share a lot of passion and a lot of things as we went through the transition together as well. And he is now into law enforcement. He wrote the book Turn 2 recently, did a song, completely wrote the song, sang it, did a lot of the stuff with it. So he's going to talk about his life and coming up into the military and what that meant, and then getting out and transition into the law enforcement where he is today and doing some stuff. So Derek Hudnall, welcome, brother. United States Navy, FMF corpsman, brother in arms. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, let's get it.
The book is Stand To Corpsmen.
Yeah, Stand To Corpsmen. Really great, really great stuff. And hey, what inspired you to join the military and write this book? Obviously, there's a lot of inspiration, a lot of things that came. Therapeutic effect to write that book must have been empowering.
Yeah. So basically, I come from a family with a long history of military service. So, I mean, just growing up in that environment was kind of like predestined. Well, actually, it was always an option or an avenue. And so when I graduated from high school, I really wasn't completely sure which direction to go in college. I wasn't totally committed to it. And I didn't want to waste any money that I didn't have, and end up owing a lot of money before I figured out what I was going to do. So joining the military seemed like a very reasonable option. You get your college money, you get to see the world, you get to have some new experiences. And, at that time, there wasn't wars going on or anything like that. So it seemed like, a pretty good opportunity not to pass up. So, I enlisted in the Navy.
And your mom's in law enforcement too, and that pushed you to the end.
Yeah, and my mom was a police officer. So I mean that was kind of looming in the back. But I think initially when I initially set out to join, my ultimate goal was to be a firefighter. But after joining the Navy and going through the training boot camp, everybody's a firefighter. Think about it. You're on a ship.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, there ain't no running.
Exactly. We got to put this out for everybody.
Yep. For everybody.
So, I chose to be a corpsman and got stationed at a hospital first, and then ended up 1st Marine Division, where I met up with you. And, we had our deployments. First one was like the UDP, where we went to the Pacific and, a bunch of
31st. Yeah, 31st.
Yeah, 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. And, we got to go pretty much all over the Pacific, got to touch down on a lot of different places, train with a lot of different countries, experience a lot of different environments, and, while I was transferring from the Naval Hospital to 1st Marine Division is when 9/11 happened. So,
Yeah,
We kind of
right before we
we
went
understood.
to our MEU. I mean, we weren't even
Right.
sure our MEU was gonna kick off the way that it should have because of the problem with the war at that time. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, we knew we were going to get mixed up in something, but we just didn't know exactly how it was going to play out. So, um, I wrote the book, pretty much detailing my point of view and my experiences. Um, and it's a good uh, source, for anybody curious about what it's like, deploying and then experiencing combat. And then at the capacity of a Navy corpsman, there's not a lot of stories out there that detail those types of experiences. So, I thought it was important to share them.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. And the cover implement, as I look at the cover, it reminds me of this total day that we had that was a total jacked up day with this sandstorm that came in. And
yeah,
our
that was the,
brother Doc Reyes took this picture of you checking on the
yes,
Marines in the sandstorm. And that sandstorm
it was
was like
fun.
a no joke sandstorm from hell.
Right. And that's a testament to our commitment. Like a sandstorm's not going to stop us from checking on our guys. We're still going
Exactly.
to make sure everybody's good to go.
And it was equivalent to a blizzard that a lot of people
Well,
might
that,
be
that was in the
familiar to.
middle of the day. If you don't remember, that was the middle of
Yeah,
the
it was the
day,
middle
turning
of the
into
day,
nighttime. Yeah.
and it
So
carried on through the night too. But
it did.
we ended up with casualties just from trying to travel through that and dealing with that. So
Right. Caught a couple of people. People ended up with some cold injuries. I remember. Some people got sick. You know. So it was serious.
yeah, so that's a great photograph, great picture on that cover. And the funny part is somebody wants to take that away from you and put the Mona Lisa on it. It's just some weird story on
Right.
that part.
Yeah. Japan actually wanted to add it to their curriculum, and they were like, "Hey, can we change the cover?" And I'm like, "What? No, you can't do that." But I'm, pretty honored that they consider the spirit, like the spirit of the commitment, um, worthy enough to add to their school curriculum. I think that's pretty powerful.
That is. It speaks highly of the way that you wrote it and your thought process through it. And you put a lot of stuff out there, Derek. I know you went through a lot. You finally, you determined that, hey, I'm going to get out. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to chase my dreams of
Right. Yeah.
being
Initially,
on a
when I
different
got
track.
out, I was pretty passionate about continuing down the medical path. I was in school doing my prereqs for the PA program, but the classes were really difficult to get, and there was a lot of wait list. And the GI Bill, you only have so much funds. I didn't want to so I decided to take classes that I could get, which ultimately led me to changing my major to criminal justice. You know, Plus, I have family history, so inspired by my mother, I wanted to get something, and so I ended up getting the degree in criminal justice, and I completed an internship at the coroner's office, um, and then ended up getting hired by a local law enforcement agency in my area.
Yeah,
So
that's outstanding. And when you look back at our time, obviously pushing through Iraq and going through all these different things, and the fights that we had to deal with. There's a lot of different things involved in that. You know, how does your future look? I mean, because you love this country. I know you care enough to come into the law enforcement. You add a lot to the people you surround yourself with. They don't even know that you know all this stuff, right? But they always question you about your tactics because you use tactics that you learned in the military. When you're dealing with things, all these different things that you bring to the table, and you talk to the criminals that you deal with on a different basis, I think, than most people. You want to see those guys succeed in some way, so you try to give them that hand up sometimes. And I want to just touch basis on that a little bit.
yeah, I do try to motivate them. I try to I mean, where I work, I work in a jail. So like, there's already bad energy in there, and it's already, you know, dark and depressing. But I try not to bring that in there, and I try not to take it with me when I leave. But I mean, I view it as like pure community service, because you are um, still helping your community, and you're helping the people get through probably the highlight of the most difficult period of their life, and getting them to understand that this is just a pathway. You get through it, you move on, right?
Most definitely.
And try to basically lead by example, you know?
Right, right. I know you've always shared some really cool stories with me. We've always had this time to share. When we have, and you've been in my warrior groups, you've seen a lot of veterans help that's being put out there. You contribute to that. I mean, we're part of the 3-5 Corpsman group. We spend a lot of time talking to each other in there. Talk about what that means to you, as well as like having this continued brotherhood. Even when we get all bent out of shape and upset sometimes, it's great to be reeled back in and talk a little bit about that.
Right. And actually it's refreshing at times, because like, you remember, like, the longer that you distance yourself from service, like the hardships and the parts of it that you didn't like fade, and the memories of the good times, are the ones that kind of shine through. And having the group and staying connected to the people that I serve with, like you and everyone else, it makes it feel like it never ended. We're still out here, when we're sharing stories about, our lives and what we're doing now, what we're moving on, and, brainstorming with ideas on projects, on new opportunities, you know, and, it's nothing but positivity and encouragement. We don't, I mean, we tease each other, yes, but it's in a motivational way, you know, and
De-
we've all done some pretty amazing things post service, post combat, all of us,
Definitely. Definitely.
right?
Yeah. It's it could be definitely a hard pathway, when you get out of service, just to find out where you are, who you are.
Yeah, that's
And
difficult. The transition, it is. You're having to start over, um, in a place that isn't the same that you left it, and you're not the same as you were when you left. So it's getting in sync. It's like, learning how to jump in the jump rope session.
definitely.
And it's going to take a couple times before you get it, but pretty soon you get in sync, and you're in step, and you're just as good as everybody else.
Exactly. If
Right.
you have yeah. And when we talk about all these other veterans that are out there that are trying to get on their pathway, what kind of encouragement, advice would you want to throw out there to recommend to these guys and gals that are getting on their transition and just figuring some stuff out? What's the number one thing that you kind of could say that you found your way through it,
Yeah.
and this is
Try
the way
not
that you
to
should
stay
probably
try not to stay in the bubble, because like, you come out and you can't relate to a lot of the civilian population, and they can't relate to you either. There's a misconnect. But stay out, keep on pushing yourself, keep challenging yourself, get involved, go to um, whatever's out there. Anything that you're curious about, don't deprive yourself, just do it. Check it out. I mean, I never wrote a book before, I didn't even know how to do that, but I did some research and was able to figure it out. And from what I told, it's pretty good. So how would I have been able to do that if I didn't push myself? you know
exactly. That's a good point, because
Even getting into law enforcement, I wasn't successful the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth time, but I kept learning from the nose and making adjustments and you know, demonstrating that like I want this, and I'm willing to do what it takes to be a professional, you know, and eventually, you know, the door started opening. Now
Yeah,
I'm working on 9 years. So it's
outstanding.
pretty exciting, you know, considering what it was like just, you know, coming home with your sea bag, you know.
Exactly. Well, hey, we got to wrap this segment up, and we'll get into Chef JB's corner kitchen here in a second. But any last words? If people want to get a hold of you, they definitely can through me, through the show notes. But feel free to put that out there and mention your book again. Throw that out there. It's going to show up here in a second. We'll talk about that too. So go ahead.
Right. I'm on TikTok. You can Cadence. Um, you can direct message me there. You can add me. Um, you can reach me on my email, dshudnall@yahoo.com. And don't forget to go to Barnes & Noble, Amazon Prime, and order Stand To Corpsmen. You won't be disappointed.
Hey, thanks a lot, Derek. It's great to have you here, brother. Much appreciated. Love you. And thanks for spending some time with me, man. I'll definitely get you back on here in the future. I hope to have some questions or anybody that wants to come on. Remember, we got and we'll bring up that here in a second. But we'll transition over to JB here in a second. And thanks, Derek. We'll see you in a few.
Thanks for
Strength
having
and
me.
honor, brother. Hey, we're gonna hey, just to remind everybody, we've got open house at 1400 this afternoon. You know, feel free to jump on. If you want the link to that, please ask me. That link is also located under my combat support pieces all over social media and different things of that nature. So hit me up if you don't have it, and I'll get that to you. And now we got JB coming on. JB, how you doing, brother?
Good afternoon, Aaron. How you doing, my friend and brother?
Good, good. Hey, real quick. Hey, Brian, if you could play the Corpsman turn 2, if you could throw that back up there, that'd be great. 1 second.
8404 Navy Hospital Corps 3rd Battalion 5th Marines, last of the ranks, first on the scene, half sailor, half marine, part well-oiled machine. 8404 Navy Hospital Corps 3rd Battalion 5th Marines, last of the ranks, first on the scene, half sailor, half marine, part well-oiled machine.
That's a great song. Great motivation
Song.
from Derek Hudnall. Chef JB
Yeah,
is on deck.
He's got a tough job working in a jail. It's hard to motivate people when they're so downtrodden and get them to even thinking that there's a better way of life out there, and they can have it if they work for it. You know, that's the one common goal that, you know, as being a veteran, we have what it takes, so to speak. We went through boot camp. We've been through all the training. I was really laughing when you were talking about fire training, because I mean, it's intense, and there's no place to run. Like you said, you're not going to run away from it. So
Yeah,
you have to face it. And
I got a question for you, JB. In fire training in boot camp, I had to watch the fire stall video, and I'm wondering if that was the same for you guys in the Coast Guard, because you came in prior to that burning. I think that thing burned during Vietnam, so you might have been there before that was actually implemented. But
yes. We did go through the Navy training for our firefighters course, but you know, that was 52 years ago, 54 years ago. So now I'm aging myself. But you know what? It never changes. I mean, we might forget a few things, but you know, sometimes it comes back to us. So that's a good thing. This week in Chef JB's kitchen, I'd like to talk about some really good folks that I've been involved with for about the last 5 years, and that's the Honor Flight. And the Honor Flight is, like I talked about last week, they take veterans, usually older veterans, to all the different memorials in Washington, D.C., you know, World War II, World War I, all the memorials. memorials, and they get to visit each one and kind of, you know, it's a very solemn thing because, you know, that's just the way it is. I was involved with Vietnam Traveling Wall back in about, it was about 2019, 2018, right in there. And what a great project that I got to work on and be a part of. And it was absolutely phenomenal. And so I can only imagine what you go through going to Washington, D.C. and seeing all the different memorials. But here in Henderson, Nevada, we have Pancakes for Patriots. And I think we have a flyer on that for the girls. There it is. It's honoring our veterans. You can see some of the guys there. We always put up pictures and things around the room while you're having breakfast that shows some of the guys at the memorials. Each person that goes, each veteran that goes, usually has a veteran keeper, or they have a keeper that pushes them in a wheelchair. You know, going to see in all those different memorials takes a lot. There's a lot of walking involved. So each one gets to ride in a wheelchair. Each one gets to be pushed around and taken care of. They get their meals for them. They eat with them. They sleep with them. And they get to exchange stories, you know, the camaraderie of being a veteran and a fellow service member. I mean, we get around guys that, you know, are in the military long time ago and hear some of their stories and how they have coped with things like PTSD and life, you know, life. These guys are usually in their 70s, 80s. I remember one gentleman was 92 and he jumped out of airplanes and I mean, he was on a crew on a airplane and had to bail out, and the guy right beside him got shot and killed by a farmer. You know, when they bailed out over Germany, they were shooting them. And he said, I don't know why I lived and he didn't, but you know, those kind of things, they kind of hit home for us. I mean, we're veterans and I liked Chad, the other, I think it's Chad, right? What's his name? Aaron?
Derek Hudnall.
Derek. Yeah, Derek was saying that he didn't automatically or right away get a job, but he kept trying and failing and trying and failing. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize, you know, I always wanted to come to Las Vegas. It was the major leagues of my profession. You know, a lot of volume is done here. So I really desired that. But I tried 8 different times to come here. And it was like, I didn't have any Las Vegas, they call it juice, you know. You got to have juice to get here, you know, because, and I experienced that being an executive chef here. People would come and tell me, oh, I've been an executive chef here and there. And you give them a chance and they can't cope with it. You know, it's just, they don't have it. So you got to have experience in Las Vegas to get a job in Las Vegas. And finally, I was given a chance to come and be on the opening team for the Excalibur. And we were feeding 32,000 people a day. I was already a certified executive chef. So, I mean, I already had almost 20 years of experience as a chef, but I couldn't find a job. But I just kept pursuing it. And, you know, I always say God has the master plan, because he does. And he put me in touch with the right people. I mean, I came here and I mean, it was really strange. I got off the plane and a friend of mine that told me about this job picked me up and he brought me to the Excalibur, and they were doing tastings at 11 o'clock at night. and we sat down and had dinner with the executive chef, and he says, well, be in my office at 9 o'clock in the morning. I said, yeah, I'm in shorts and a golf shirt. I'm going to put on a shirt and a tie, and come for an interview. And he says, oh, no, you already got the job. You just got to meet the food and beverage director. And I'm thinking to myself when I'm going home or up to the room, I mean, here it is. I tried 8 times and knocking myself out. And I don't even have to interview for the job. I already got it. My experience behind me said it was okay. So, God has the master plan, and when it's supposed to be, it's there. But the biggest thing that I can tell a veteran today that's just getting out is keep pushing, keep trying. I mean, you quit swimming, you drowned. And for Navy guys, that's real important, because I've been in some storms, and I'm thinking if I'm going to have to jump out there into that storm, into the water, I don't even know if I can swim hard enough to survive. But you just keep swimming, and that's what we do. And, we're blessed, Aaron, you and I. I mean, we live in one of the greatest cities in the world. There's always entertainment. There's always a lot of things here. A lot of veterans come here looking for opportunities, and that's a great thing. And for veterans that are coming here and want a leg up in the veteran community, I help run the VTRC, the Veterans Transition Resource Center, and not just for veterans, their spouses, their children. We have a lot of programs that are designed for them. You work on PTSD and Warrior Built and a lot of other things that we can suggest to them. The Honor Flight, 22 Warriors, suicide prevention. One of the hardest things for a veteran to accomplish is that downtime after the hectic pace of their military life, and then they all of a sudden come out and it's like they want to go and do, and all of a sudden there isn't anything, so it's easy to pick up a drink or do a drug or whatever that their choice is, and then all of a sudden they get caught up in it, and then nothing ever gets accomplished. One thing we learned in boot camp was sleep when you can, because you never know when you're going to need it. And it's the whole time in your military career. Sleep when you can. That's the important thing. Get some rest. And I'm so glad to be here with you, Aaron, and share some of my stories and working on things. It's just a great time, and I really appreciate that. I know we're running out of time here pretty soon, so Brian Colburn is our back man. It handles all our IT tech stuff. We appreciate you, Brian, and we love you, brother. You're awesome. And Aaron, you're awesome, man.
Hey, JB, thanks a lot. Thanks for making this happen as well. I mean,
Yeah.
we got a lot of really cool things in the push for veteran talk and a whole bunch of other things coming up. And any last words before we finish it off for the day, JB?
Just that we're going to be moving in December. We're going to have a new studio. Most of the time we're out of our studio at VTRC today because of what's going on. We're doing remote, which is good to be tested, and then we know it works, So
yeah, I got a cold, so I didn't want to get anybody sick, so I'm doing it.
No.
So, good stuff.
I get sick, I go to the hospital, man.
Yeah, none of that. We didn't want any.
Yeah, no.
Well, thanks, JB. Hey, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was done.
All right. So, hey, I want to, remind everybody, hey, if you're dealing with PTSD, if you got a lot of problems, and if you know somebody that really is dealing with it, check out the PTSD Foundation of America. They directly work with combat vets dealing with combat PTSD. Please check into that. First responders as well. I run 3 groups throughout the week, so if you need some information on that, please hit me up, as well as the 1400 group that doesn't count. Thanks to Brian Colburn, SitchRadio.com in the background running everything, Warrior Built Foundation, Recon Chief Incorporated, and any other organization that's doing some incredible things. Hit us up should you want to be on the show, should you want to just highlight some stuff that you're doing as a veteran organization. We want to lift you up and actually, you know, where the rubber hits the road. So until next time, strength and honor. Out.
The only way, and we need nothing more. The only way, together forever, that's for sure.